Remember to check out sarahsnakeshop.com for corn snakes and corn snake accessories, including corn snake morph books, t-shirts, notepads, masks, as well as other things.
Hey everybody, Sarah here. So today we are going to be reviewing this amazing book by Charles Darwin that advertises itself as the complete guide that you will ever need for corn snakes. Aren't you excited? But before we jump into that, I do want to make sure that we give away last month's book, which was this book here by Mike McEachern, A Corn Snake Color Guide. It is a very interesting book and I kind of like it. So, and once again, I have lost track of my hat. So today you have a candy bowl. The names are in. So I'm going to pull it out randomly. And it looks like William Schmidt. So William, if you could send me an email, it is sarahssnakeshop@gmail.com. I'll put it in the description down below, just those spellings and everything. Don't get confused. Send me an email and I will send you this book as long as I have your address. Free to you as long as you're in the US. And if you're outside the US, then you're still eligible. So anytime that I give away a book, remember it's free shipping in the US. But if you're outside the US, you're still eligible as long as you pay shipping. So my email will be in the description. And if anybody would like this amazing book for free, comment down below and your name will go in the hat or box or bowl for next month. Just a few things before we jump into everything. I do want to mention again, I have a second YouTube channel if you guys are interested in Pokemon stuff. I'm not going to be talking about it a whole lot. I know this is the second time in a row, but I really want to grow that channel so I can do live Pokemon videos on there. I can't do that until I get 50 subscribers, so I will link that in the description below if you would like to go check that out. Also, if you haven't subscribed to this channel and you love corn snakes and educational corn snake content, please subscribe. It really helps me a lot. And also thank you to everyone who has become a member. Jelly Dots, Melissa, Raul, Alterna, Amy, Bridget, William, Robert, other Amy, and April. You guys are awesome and I really appreciate your contribution to this channel. You guys help keep me going as well. So if anybody else who is not a member yet would like to become a member, it's $2 a month. You do get some exclusive content, and I know that at this point you could probably make a drinking game out of me saying exclusive content so many times, but you will get access to lives after they're over. I've done a few lives on this channel, and you will also get other little things that I upload. For example, I am currently uploading a sort of uncut version of the breeding video that I had this year. I had hours worth of content recorded for that, but I had to condense it down to about, well, it ended up being about a 40-minute video. I wanted it to be shorter than that, but to get everything that I really wanted in there, it was still really long. But if you would like that extra content, that's in there as well as some other things, some older videos that aren't quite as relevant now, but if you want to go back and look at some historical stuff on my channel, that's also for members only. So I'm going to move on from that, but thank you to all of the members and thank you to all of the subscribers as well. All of you have made this experience amazing for me, and I want to continue to make this experience amazing for you as well, which is why, of course, we're going over the best book ever. So before I start reviewing the book, I wanted to go over the 3 criteria that I use to judge these books so that I remain a little less biased. I mean, remember, this is all my opinion, has no reflection on the person writing the book or anything like that. This is just my opinion, but I'm trying to make my opinion as less biased as possible by having these main criteria so that I can judge it a little bit more fairly. So the 3 main criteria are: 1, how good or accurate is the information? Is the information that is in the book correct information? That is kind of its own thing. That is criteria number 1. Criteria number 2 is it as advertised, or is it a good source? How in-depth does it go by its label? So if its label says something like the complete guide, then we are making sure that this is a complete guide. If it isn't, it will probably lose points. And the 3rd criteria is how good is the writing and how easy is it to understand from an English speaker's perspective. I did obviously want to have criteria that went over the subject matter, but also some criteria that went over like how well the book is written as well. So those are our 3 criteria. Now, if you guys will remember the very first book that I reviewed on this channel, it was very similar in quality to this book. I can't remember the name of it, but I'll put it up on the screen so you guys can see. And I believe that Amy ended up getting that book because Sue Willits was like, I'm not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole. And frankly, I don't blame her. And I am now retroactively taking away a little bit from the original book because I found another book that I feel like is better, but still not worth a whole lot of points. But before I give the final score, I do want to go over some of the basics. So the first thing is, how good is the information in the book? The information in the book is actually okay. There's really nothing in here that I read that I was like, that's wrong. So I mean, as much as I don't want to give it like a super high score because there's not very much information, it's more about the quality of the information that's actually in it. And so with that, I actually have to give it an 8 out of 10 in the first round. The second round, however, which is it as advertised? Does it go as in-depth as it advertises itself to? And I don't know if you can see the thickness of this book. Just hold on. Let me get you Kathy Love's book that we will be reviewing eventually, just not right now. I just want to show you what a 10 out of 10 looks like. Spoiler alert for a future video. So this is the Love's book that I would consider to be a 10 out of 10 book. And I just want you to see like how thick that is and the general like size of the writing. Okay, I'm not going to go over the whole book right now, obviously, but if you just look at the size of this book, yeah, so as far as the complete guide of anything, this is not it. This is barely a guide for literally anything. It does go over some like very basic things, but it is definitely not a complete guide. It is not going to depth into anything. I will read some quotes and stuff at the end of the video, but I wanted to kind of get to the point where we got to the score. This is actually going to be a 1 out of 10 in that category. It is literally the most basic book you could ever possibly get as far as the amount of information goes. And it is 100% not a complete guide. Now, like I said, it has some information in it, but it is not complete. It is far, far from complete. I mean, if you just see these two books next to each other, yeah, it's far, 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 far from complete. So we have an 8 out of 10, and then we have a 1 out of 10, and in the last, it's how good is the writing and how easy is it to understand from an English speaker's perspective. And in this one, I'm afraid we're not going to do very well, and this is where I'm going to read you a few excerpts, just a few things that I highlighted. Here, in the very first, well, it's actually page 3. There are actually page numbers in this one, unlike the other one, which is why I will be demoting the other one, because the very first one that we did on this channel didn't even have page numbers. Now, it had a table of contents that showed page numbers, but then there were no numbers on the pages. So at least with this one, we have page numbers and numbers on pages, which is, I mean, the bar is high, right? Okay. The corn snake is one of the excellent and maximum popular snakes in captivity. I would say that that's not inaccurate. I just don't know if those were the words that I would use. So, it's not terrible. And one thing that I found that was really interesting was that it kept using, like, L. So I'm just going to kind of show you a page. Look at all the L's. Just, like, random L's. And I was trying to figure out why there would just be random L's at the end of a bunch of sentences. Or beginning of sentences, whichever one. I think I have determined that it is most likely that they are bullet points. And after reading some of these things, I think this might be a little plagiarized. Just a little bit. Like, just enough that I noticed. So, maybe it's not plagiarized. But nothing else in this book is written very well. Like, nothing. And none of this... Like, this book is not going to say cloacal prolapse in any other capacity, unless it's copying it from somewhere else, because this book was very obviously written in a different language and then translated into English, which is why it's not going to get a very high score in the ease of reading for English speakers. But like dystocia, which is retained eggs, that's not a word that is likely going to be in this book. It is unusual for the crappiness of the rest of the writing in this book for these big scientific words to be in here and be correct. I could be wrong, but like if they are saying things in this book for example, a wholesome corn snake moves deliberately. If they don't know that wholesome is not the right word to use there, I just find it hard to believe that they're going to know what stomatitis is and pronounce that correctly and use it correctly. So it just seems it seems very copied and pasted. So long story short is I'm not sure how they came up with these lists, because it's not that the lists are wrong. They're fine lists, but it definitely seems like they copied and pasted it from maybe a care guide on the internet or from somebody else's book or something like that. Because like I said, I find it very hard to believe that they would not know how to use the term semi-arboreal correctly, and then they would also say that snakes are unmarried. Like, I find it hard to believe that they would understand things like open mouth respiration issues. Like, yes, you are correct. Open mouth respiration is not good. But why is it that in one half of this book, the half of the book that doesn't have these weird random lists, like, all of these weird things are being said, but then all of a sudden, all of these like scientific terms and lists are correct information that is all spelled exactly correctly and used exactly correctly. But then like some of the lists like have this L in front of them. Like this just has a bunch of small L's in front of each thing. But then like literally the next like 2 pages later, they're able to make proper bullet points. So it just seems like someone who did not speak English probably wrote the first part of this book and then translated it to English, and it didn't translate very well, and then copied from some care guide somewhere and just pasted it into Word. And then Word misinterpreted a bullet point as an L or something, and then it just was printed and sent to me. I don't know how that happened. I don't know. Like, it just doesn't seem right. Something doesn't seem right about this book. And as far as, like, the being able to understand it from an English speaker's perspective, I'm only going to give it, like, a 3 out of 10 probably on that. Which gives this book an average of 4 out of 10, which I think is the same or very close to the very first book that I reviewed on this channel. I'm probably going to have to veto both of those and just say this is more like a 2 out of 10 on the scale, and our first one was like a 1 out of 10 on the scale. This one, I can't recommend it. I'm sorry to whoever Charles is. I'm sure that Charles spent at least 15 minutes on this book, and so like he definitely got his money's worth out of it, because I spent more on this book than I probably should have. I think I spent like $15 on this little book, but I just can't say that I would recommend it. It's nothing personal. It's so tiny and it's not very easy to understand. And you know, I mean, at least there's a corn snake on the cover as opposed to the first book, which had a milk snake on the cover. So it has that and page numbers. That's it. That's where this is bottom line. So that's the end of this video. Even though this kind of technically got an average of 4, I'm going to be vetoing that. This is going to be a 2 out of 10. Sorry if anybody was like, oh, you said you were going to be unbiased and that's why you had all this like criteria. Well, some things are just so bad that you can't. You can't. The criteria it doesn't measure. It doesn't measure how bad it is. And it's a similar thing with the very first book. I'm vetoing that. I'm probably going to go back and edit the description. That one's a 1 out of 10. This one's a 2 out of 10. If you would like to win this book, remember, leave a comment. I will be drawing names next week. And anybody who has their name drawn and does not want the book or is passing because of shipping costs, that will just be passed on to the next person. Either way, thank you guys so much for watching. I know this video was a little bit shorter than usual, but I am not going to have much time for the rest of this week to do anything. My husband got a new job and he's taking his first business trip this weekend and I'm going to go with him. We've never been on a business trip before. I don't know what it means to go on a business trip. But I'll be going on a business trip this weekend, so I do not have much time. So this video was a little bit short. I was actually kind of happy that I picked up the shorter book. Next week, I'm going to be redoing an old Morph deep dive. I'm not sure which one yet. I might actually redo the old golden Morph deep dive because I actually do get a lot of questions about that. And I am going to be breeding possible het goldens. Actually, I've already bred my possible het goldens this year. So that might help clear up a little bit about golden. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that or if I'm going to do something else. I also considered redoing the Castagna video. I've also considered redoing like another old video. So if you guys have a video suggestion that you would really like, please feel free to comment that. Your comment will still go toward the candy bowl, but you know, if you just say in the comment that you don't want the book, that's also fine. And I'm also going to be doing a Q&A later on this month. So if you guys have literally any questions, leave a comment on any of my videos. It doesn't have to be this one, it can be any other one. And I'm going to be going back and collecting all those questions to answer in a video at the end of this month, like later on this month at some point. So thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.